Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Road America for this round of the 14th round, I believe, of the iRacing Drivers' World Championship for 2010. As I say, we're here at Road America for a 40-lap race, which should take us about an hour, and we're about to see some of the top sim drivers in the world competed out around this fascinating track, which has everything, sort of long straights and some twisty corners as well. Good opportunities for overtaking. It's a minimum downforce track, and it should be a pretty exciting race. I'm joined in the booth, as before, by Frosty St. Clair, and Frosty, tactics are going to be quite interesting in this one. It looks like it's definitely going to be a two-stopper, but whether people will decide to pit early or not is going to be quite interesting to see.
Yes, Jack, and good to be back with you. It's definitely a two-stopper. People are going to use strategies here. It's going to be interesting to see what some people do. I know I've gotten some messages from some people that they are going to go for a long first stint and then shorter second and third, and then some that said that they're going to split it up. So it's going to be interesting to see and how traffic plays a part into the overall finishing orders.
Absolutely. So in a few moments we'll take you down through the qualifying order, tell you how that shaped out, and then of course this race will be underway. We'll take you down through the grid predominantly when the green flag lap gets underway, because as ever we will have a rolling start in this iRacing Drivers' World Championship. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get a clean start, because last time out we had quite a messy start, it has to be said, a multi-car pile-up at I think the third corner of the track. But hopefully here at Road America it should be a little cleaner, although the first corner here is fairly tight. I think we could see quite a bit of action going down into there, Frost.
Yeah, not only that, Jack, but now we have aero damage, and there's not really any way to fix that. So you're probably going to see, I would imagine, you're going to see these guys a little bit more careful on the start of this one. Because if they get, before, if they got wing damage or something like that, the front wing was a little bent up. It didn't really affect the way that the car drove. And with the latest update that iRacing has had, they have now implemented aero damage. So that's going to be a big factor as these guys go into the first corner. Absolutely spot on. There has been an update to this IndyCar car in the past week or so, which is part of iRacing's quest to make it the most realistic driving experience possible for these drivers, who of course are racing around the world, various locations. We've got Australians racing, we've got Americans racing, we've got a Finn on pole position alongside a Brit, so it really is a real world championship. All these guys will be sitting perhaps at their home at a computer, perhaps in a racing rig with top of the range steering wheels and pedals as they set out on their parade lap. Then let's have a look down through the grid. Gregor Huttu it is, of course, on pole position, but Richard Towler again only a tenth of a second behind in qualifying. He's second on the grid. Ilka Happala third on the grid, with fourth place Ben Cornett, and Marcus Sari lines up in fifth. And then in the sixth spot, you've got Derek Wood, followed by Sean Purdy in the seventh spot. David Williams in the eighth spot. I think this might be David's first race. I'll have to double check that. Ian Lake in the ninth spot. Good qualifying for him. I think that might be his highest qualifying effort of the season. And Daniel Almeida in the 10th spot. 11th place is Darren Marsh with 12th Jake Sturgis. 13th position goes to Brian Heitkotter. 14th Rhea Fala. And 15th position is Brad Davids. Followed, I think that's actually Davies there, Jack, but followed up in 16th is Mark Payne, followed by Dion Vergers in 17th, Milos Milokovic in the 18th spot, 19th is Mauro Biselier, and the 20th spot is Klaus Ellenbrand. 21st place goes to John Prather, 22nd George Sandman, 23rd place is Alice Simonek, 24th is Andrea Boldi, and 25th is Ryan Murray. We're getting reports of some trouble on the parade lap. I'll finish up the order here real quick. It looks like Tony Legrin in the 26th spot, followed by David Serrois. Stefan, oh boy, I'm sorry, Stefan, I cannot pronounce your last name. I'll get that in a second. Gerd Hofferer in the 29th spot, and Paul Richards in 30th. It looks as though Mark Payne has been involved in that formation lap incident, and Dion Vergers, we believe, and Biselier, so quite a bit of action going on that formation lap. We'll just quickly finish off with Dave Hoffman in 31st, Thomas Prodproki in 32nd. That's no doubt wrong. And 33rd place is Jan Ziliauskas. 34th is Tim Holgate, and he's another one who looks like he's been caught up there. So I didn't quite see what happened. But certainly something went on that formation lap that caused a bit of bunching up, and that can sometimes happen. It sounds like someone had a lock-up, and that just, like I say, caused a sort of concertina effect throughout the order.
Yeah, that's a bummer there to have problems on the warm-up lap. God, I wish I would have caught it, but yeah, rough luck there for Mark and whoever else was involved. Damage probably before the race ever even gets underway. It's definitely not the way you want to start.
Absolutely not, as these cars make their way towards the end of this lap, when of course, as I say, it will be a rolling start, so no need to practice starts for these guys. It's literally drive along, the lights will go out, and then you stamp on the throttle. We've seen Gregor Huttu getting some great starts recently, and because Towler has been really close, you know, in qualifying and that sort of thing, but then come to the race start, he seems to struggle to keep up with Gregor Huttu a little bit, because I can't really give you a reason why, but there's a nice long straight here. I felt the last track we were at, the start-finish straight sort of starts on a bit of a corner, so that's always going to give you a bit of a disadvantage, but here they should be able to back up nice and tight to one another to get a nice clean rolling start.
It's going to be interesting. It's see if Richard tried to get a jump on Gregor on the last one. Gregor kind of put the stop to that, and it's going to be interesting to see how hard these guys challenge going into turn one with the new aero damage model placed in, and also new tires. Everybody really liking the new tires, but a lot of guys struggling with the new chassis. So they're coming to the green now, Jack.
The pace car then pulls into the pits. We're going to go up the hill here at Road America. As I said, it's a nice long line here, nice long start, finish straight, and the race gets underway, and it looks as though Towler hasn't got the best start. Ilka Happler is right up in the path of Gregor Huttu. Happler pulls out as they head down into turn one, but he's going to be on the outside. It's Happler versus Huttu into turn one. Huttu takes the lead and holds it. Richard Towler still in third place. We've got a contact further back in the order, and a large crash by the sounds of it, but Gregor Huttu is away in the lead of this race, and it is still Ilka Happler in second. I believe Alice Simonek is caught up in that, and David Sawar as well, all creeping onto the road back there at the first couple of corners.
Yeah, a lot of guys involved in that one. We'll see if we can get a replay going. Meanwhile, out in front, it's Huttu followed by Happler. He got around Towler on the start. Towler running in the third spot. Good start for Ilka. Ilka's needing a good race after a bad luck last race.
We've got quite a lot of accidents going on down here. Jake Sturgios has gone off big time, and his car looks quite a bit broken. Brian Heitkotter, we think, is involved as well, so a little bit messy as we came through there, and you're going to see the effects now of the aerodynamic damage that Frosty Sinclair was talking about. Jake Sturgis, for example, he's going nowhere. His front suspension is absolutely wrecked, and like I say, Alice Simonek is involved as well, so a real shame there from in the sort of mid-pack, but it's Gregor Huttu who's out in front, and Happler will be pleased to get the jump on Richard Towler after Towler was 2 tenths quicker in qualifying as they make their way out towards the back of the circuit.
Yeah, it looks like Rich is putting some pressure on Ilka as they come down the front straightaway. It's going to be interesting to see. I know the biggest thing that Ilka's looking at is probably Ben Cornett, as those two guys are battling out for third overall in the championship. So that's the person he's really going to be keeping an eye on. If he can put a car in between him and Ben, even the better. But he probably won't hold up Rich too much if Rich is putting so much pressure on him that it might cause him to crash. So it's going to be interesting.
Great move by David Williams, making his way around the outside there of Derek Wood, who then himself got a little bit sideways at turn one, didn't he? And that allowed Sean Purdy through. So some great action there. Good move from David Williams in the number 8 car. I presume he's English because he's got a massive England flag on the back of his rear wing. But he has now made his way up into 7th position. But and the battle for second is on. Richard Towler is right up behind Ilka Happler as they make their way through turns 6 now, out to the right-handed kink at turn 7 and down towards the left-hander at turn 8.
Looks like we're taking a look at, I believe that is David Williams right there on our screen. Now we're taking a look at Towler chasing down Ilka Happala in that Whiskey River car. Towler's trying to put some pressure on Happala for second place as we go on board now with Richard Towler as they're coming around to complete this lap. So complete lap 3 of 40. Right now Ilka's doing a good job out there, Jack, holding off Towler.
Certainly is. Hasn't put under too much pressure from the Yorkshireman yet. Towler running a little bit wide on the exit of turn 13 there. Now they sweep down into 14 and then up this long ascent, and by the looks of it he's dropped back a few car lengths, hasn't he? So as they come across the line this time, let's have a look at the gap at the front. Gregor Huttu is in the lead then. His lead over Ilka Happala is 1.6 seconds, and then it's another half a second back to Richard Towler. So Towler seems to be strong perhaps in the sort of middle sections of the race. David Sowar is in the pits after his contact earlier on today. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Towler can do anything about Ilka Happala, because with only 2 tenths separating them in qualifying, that's not really a massive gulf, is it? Towler's going to have his work cut out to make his way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And some interesting things to note here. I think that with the new update, drafting is a bit more. Happala's
just gone wide at turn 5, I think, and that has allowed Richard Towler to get up the inside. So Ilka Happala makes a mistake by the looks of things and has now dropped down into 3rd position, and he's got Ben Cornett right up behind him, hasn't he? So Ben Cornett has a little shimmy to this side and then that as they dive down into turn 8, and these three are now really close. This is the battle for 2nd position. In effect, Cornett is switching every way possible to try and put Ilka Happala off. The back end gets a little bit light on the back of Ben Cornett's car, but he now is the man on the attack. That's a real shame for Ilka. He got the jump on Richard Towler at the start, but now he's going to be coming under a lot of pressure as they head down in towards Canada Corner.
Yeah, Ilka's main concern right now is Ben Cornett. Like I said, they're battling for 3rd in the championship. Last race, Ilka had some bad luck, and Ilka is not giving up on Towler yet. He's not giving up on that 2nd place. Looks like he's taking it right back to him. He's doing some defending as well, though, as you watch him move over kind of in the middle of the track under some of the braking zones. Doing a good job of not moving around too much, though. Seems like pretty fair play as they come back down the start-finish line straight.
Cornett looked like he got a really good run out of that final corner, and he's tucked right into the slipstream with Ilka Happala, but I don't think he's going to have quite enough momentum to breeze up, because Happala will be benefited from the tow from Towler. So very late on the brakes goes Ben Cornett. These 3 drivers nose to tail then as they make their way down towards turn 3. Cornett having a little look up the inside, but he's not quite going to make it through. They exit through turn 3 towards turn 5, and they are fairly equidistant at the moment, aren't they, as they make their way down to turn 5. And this battling has allowed Gregor Huttu now to have a 4.2 second lead at the end of lap 4.
Well, what I was trying to get to earlier that I was going to say that was interesting is I think with the new update, I think drafting plays a bigger role now, and yet Gregor is still pulling away out in front. Yet, granted, these guys have been battling a little bit, but Gregor's last lap by a 147.295, which I believe is the fastest lap of the race, and these guys doing 149s, kind of swapping positions back here in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So, but it'd be interesting to see with the draft being a bigger part now, if these guys, if they stay close together, maybe they can pull Gregor back a little bit, but of course they were pretty close at the start and Gregor still pulled away, so probably not.
Absolutely, they make their way along Kettle Bottoms down towards Canada Corner. Very tight right-hander, not much runoff there either. Ben Cornett just sticks a little bit, a couple of wheels on the grass. They start to climb up again. Great undulation on this Road America track. At the moment, it looks as though Ilka Happala is closer. Well, they're fairly similar distances.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a little bit of breathing room this lap versus last lap that would have been. This lap by for Richard Towler at 148.2, so that's a full second slower than Huttu's last lap, and that was a clean lap for Towler. So Gregor's still pulling away out in front. You would imagine that he's probably going to do the, if I had to guess, I'm going to say that Gregor's probably splitting the stints up into even parts, and he might be lighter on fuel than these guys, but we'll have to check.
Here's that battle we were watching earlier, Derek Wood and David Williams really battling hard. Williams just got back through past Wood down at turn 1, but Wood looks like he's getting in the tow here, doesn't he? Perhaps we're seeing the first signs of the slipstream coming up. Williams very late on the brakes, Wood a little bit later, and these two have got Darren Marsh right behind them as they make their way through the left-hander at turn 5. These two have been swapping positions all the time, really, as they make their way around. Derek Wood currently lying 20th in the championship at the moment. The man from Lincoln in Nebraska makes his way out towards the back part of the circuit, and he's dropped a little bit behind David Williams now, and Darren Marsh has dropped a little behind him as well. But this is, as I say, the battle for 7th position. David Williams, who qualified, when did he qualify? He qualified in 8th, so he's made up 1 position so far, but we've seen him having quite an exciting race so far today.
Yeah, pretty eventful first race for David. I think it's his first race. I still need to check that. Maybe we can get one of our guys on that in the booth. And it looks like we got Darren Marsh looking on the inside of Derek Wood.
Oh, Wood went a little bit wide there, didn't he? Wood still hanging on the inside. I thought that he was going to make it there side by side as they exit the final corner. Wood got out of the way for Marsh there. Very good driving, but now he's going to tuck back in the slipstream as they make their way along the main straight down towards turn 1. Derek Wood tucks right into the slipstream. Does Marsh feel the need to go defensive into turn 1? No, he doesn't. He's going to give Wood a look up the inside. Wood isn't brave enough on the brakes. Marsh misses the apex, runs a little wide, but manages to keep it all under control. There were some skid marks there on the exit of turn 1. So I wonder if someone's gone, oh, Derek Wood's just been punted from behind, but Brad Davidson, he's been collected by Ian Lake. And who else is in there? Rhea Fowler as well. A big incident. Rhea Fowler in that yellow and orange Florida car. A big incident down there at turn 2. It looked like it all started by Derek Wood being hit from behind, perhaps by Ian Lake. I didn't quite catch it. We're going to get a
I think that was actually Brad Davies, Jack, and we're taking a look at the replay here. It looks like he just closed in on him quicker than he thought. Maybe Derek braked a little earlier than he thought he was going to, and Davies just into the back of Derek Wood, collected Ray Alfala and a couple other guys. Not sure how much damage everybody got in that, but Derek was able to keep going, it looked like.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how your I say your, but the damage model you were talking about earlier, Frosty, will play a part. But action here at Road America in this iRacing Drivers World Championship. And just to let you know, the Towler, Hapler, Cornet battle has spread out a little bit so far. Marcus Sari is currently in 5th, Sean Purdy in 6th, and then David Williams in 7th, as we were talking about earlier. So they've all managed to keep going. And indeed, Rhea Fowler and Ian Lake are still pretty close together on circuit, but that was quite a large accident down there at turn 1. But Gregor Huttu is now 6 seconds clear at the front.
Gregor continuing to run laps that are about a second faster than Hapala and Towler. Towler's last lap of 1:47.8. Let's see if that's the first. Yeah, no, he's done a couple of 47s, but they're high 47s as opposed to Gregor's low 47s. So Gregor's still pulling way out in front. His last lap by, actually, his last several laps, last laps by 1:47.2 or 3. So he's close to a second faster than 2nd and 3rd at the moment. But Hapala doing a good job of sticking with Towler and pulling away from Cornet just a little bit.
Indeed. So we're expecting fuel will last about 15 or 16 laps around here, we reckon. So on lap 7, we're about halfway to the first pit stops, which I think will definitely be a 2-stop race. Still, the closest battle on circuit is that Ian Lake-Rhea Fowler battle over 11th and 12th, I believe. They make their way through the middle section. But it'll be interesting to see when the first guys decide to stop. Is that Ian Lake pulling over? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Did he just move out the way of Rhea Fowler there? I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Oh, yeah, he could have had damage or something, possibly.
Yeah, no, sorry, he ran wide on the exit of that corner, and behind Ian Lake is now John Prather. We saw Ian Lake, actually. This is quite a strong performance from him, isn't it? He's running in 12th. He was having real troubles last time. He was sort of stopping at the side of the track for 30 seconds or so, wasn't he? As we go on board with John Prather, making his way out of the Canada corner. through Thunder Valley and Bill Mitchell Bend, and then down into the final corner here at Road America, and out onto the back straight. Prather, not quite close enough, is he, to make advantage of the slipstream as they crest the hill and head along the start-finish straight. Weaving in front there, that's Rea Fowler really weaving to try and break the toe of Ian Lake as they make their way along the start-finish straight. They've got a back marker coming out the way of Mauro Basellier. He's just come out of the pits. He's kicked a bit of dust in front of them, but these three are still the closest battling on the track, and it looks as though Ian Lake is the man be attacking Rea Fowler. Championship-wise, Ian Lake is 21st, Rea Fowler is 29th, and I think Ray has been involved in quite a lot of incidents this year, hasn't he? He's probably had quite a few finishes that weren't as strong as they could have possibly been as they dropped down into turn 5.
Ray's definitely not boring, that's for sure. He's given us a lot of excitement over the course of the season. Is Ian showing that he might be one of the podium assault drivers. I know I talked to Brian Heitkotter, who said that he is just absolutely struggling with the update on the cars. He says, oh, and Ian, let's Prather go.
That was exactly the same place as before. Did he run wide again? Yeah, but he ran a little wide, but nothing too bad. That's interesting from Ian.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. But there's a lot of guys that said that pretty much everybody I've talked to says they really love the tire update. Some are struggling with the chassis update, and some say that they like all of it. Like Brian says he likes all of it. Brian Heitkotter, as I was mentioning earlier, but just doesn't seem to have the pace that he had before. So it might take some of these guys some time to work out the setups with the new updates. And Prather is running a little bit higher than he normally runs, so he must really like the update.
Yeah, the updates will suit different drivers' driving styles, there's no question about that. These drivers are now on their 9th lap out of 40, so we're a quarter distance basically. And, we've had plenty of action so far in these opening few laps from Rea Fowler and Ian Lake and the like. Had a change of position a little further back go on. Someone came into the pits, but that's not very important. Cars make their way around this Road America circuit with its 14 corners. After this, I think the next race on the calendar, off the top of my head, is the Silverstone circuit. I think that's a bit of a guess. We've certainly got Silverstone coming up at some point. I've just had that confirmed, so that'll be an exciting one on the what is now the old Grand Prix circuit, the Bridge GP circuit. So that'll be exciting to see those cars around such a quick circuit.
Just give a quick rundown here for everybody out there. Gregor Huttu still out in front, ran his fastest lap of the race last time by 1:47 flat. Second place, Towler and Hapola running second and third respectively, both 1:47.8. Ben Cornett running in the fourth spot had a 1:47.7, so he was trying to bring these guys back in. Sean Purdy has now moved up to the fifth spot. And the newcomers, Marcus Sari and David Williams running 6th and 7th, with Darren Marsh 8th. Derek Wood still hanging on to 9th, so must have not gotten too much damage from that bump from behind earlier. And Ryan Murray running in the 10th spot.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan Murray has gone into the wall in a big way. Car number 18 has absolutely beached it there. We'll try and get a replay of that for you. That was just a simple mistake, really. Coming up to turn 8, is that? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we got a replay coming up now, Jack. Taking a look at the replay here, and I'm not sure, this might be too far back. Let's try again. Is they're bringing up the replay again? All right, I'm going to take a look at Ryan Murray here on screen. And wow, I don't know, it just completely looked like he missed the turn. Maybe he forgot where he was on the track. That was completely bizarre. It was not sure what happened there. They were possibly locked up and just drove straight off the track.
Looked like he turned in a little too early there, and that sort of put him on the curb. But if we look at Ryan Murray now, we're going on board with him now. Yeah, he hit the inside of the curb, and that unsettled the car, obviously, and sent him spinning off into the barriers. And now we're getting our first demonstration of what it's like to drive with a damaged car, because Ryan Murray is still out there, but because of his damaged front wing, the car is now understeering horribly as he makes his way down into turn 5. It's not too bad in the slower corners, but when we get to the quicker stuff, he's just going to go nowhere near the apex, and he's really going to struggle. So we are now watching Thomas Podbrockie, which, as I say, is utterly inaccurate, no doubt, and he is chasing Paul Richards as they make their way down. Someone's off there. Is that Ian Lake again? Yes, it is Ian Lake again, off down at turn 12, Canada corner. So Ian Lake drops down to 20th position now, I think, or 19th, something like that. So he's having real troubles out there today, is poor Ian. He's been looking quite strong recently.
Yeah, you have to. Oh, looks like Happela has gotten past Towler now for the second spot. Jump back up there and take a look at that. Ilkka Happela has gone through past Richard Towler for second. Taking a look at the replay now, Jack, on screen, and Ilkka just got a great run on him down into the corner. I guess that's turn 5, and just right around Towler. Good move by Ilkka to move back up into the second spot.
Looked like he caught, Richard Towler a little unawares as they head down through the fast back section of the circuit now. Through the kink, down through Kettle Bottoms, down towards Canada corner. Towler's getting close. He pulls out of the slipstream a little too early there, I think. If he'd have stuck in the slipstream a little longer, he may well have been able to get a bit of a run on Ilkka, but not to be as they climb the hill now through Mitchell Bend, down towards turn 14, the final corner on this circuit, and Towler's dropped a couple of car lengths behind, doesn't he, as he runs a little wide on the exit of 14. Up the crest they come once more to start lap 12. So we're getting into pit stop territory now for these front-running guys. Ilkka, and look at this. Now Richard Towler is really closing in the slipstream. You can see that slipstreaming is now an important part of iRacing, thanks to the updates we were talking about previously. It's really improved the slipstreaming, and as a result, it's really improved the racing as they make their way around turn 2 now, and out. This is exactly where Happela got past last time on the run down here into this next left-hander. Is Towler going to be close enough? He's closing in a little bit, isn't he? But he pulls out the slipstream again really quite early. That's interesting. Perhaps just showing his nose, going very wide into that corner to get good momentum out of it, but it hasn't quite worked for him yet.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a hacks line there for Towler entering that turn. Ilkka may be running a slightly higher downforce setup than Towler, as Towler really closes in on him down the straightaways, and he closes in fast. And when we were watching Ilkka behind Richard, didn't see quite that drastic of a close-in rate. So I think Richard, what he's doing when he's moving over is he's trying to rely on his ability to outbrake Ilkka, but just hasn't made it. He's probably not quite close enough to try it yet. And it's interesting, like you said, we're coming up on pit stops. I expect Ilkka to come in on lap 14 or 15. We'll have to see if he changes up his strategy at all due to this battle, but it'll be interesting to see when Gregor pits as well.
Towler's really close behind as they made their way through Canada corner and out the top now. Really close indeed. Can he translate that speed through the final corner? He looks fairly close, doesn't he? This is going to be a good example of the slipstream as we see Brian Heitkotter going into the pit lane. Towler's closing in down the straight. Happela's thinking about going defensive here, but Towler needs to just keep it all tucked in behind Ilkka. Try and stay really close through these corners, and this could be a good chance. If he can hook it up through turn 2, don't come out of the slipstream, Richard. That's it. Stay right up behind him, and if he gets good drive out of this corner, he could get a run down into turn 4. Happela just got a good exit, didn't he? So it's a really interesting battle between these two guys. It looks as though Towler should be able to make a move. He's definitely closing in on the run down into turn 5, but he keeps tucking out there like that, losing the slipstream and costing himself the opportunity.
This is actually not a replay of the previous lap, but it sure looked like it, didn't it? It did the exact same move, both drivers, and the exact same result. So right now, Ilkka doing a good job of holding off Towler, and he's not just completely defensive where he's slowing him and Towler down, because they have actually pulled away now from Ben Cornett in that 4th spot just a little bit. So Ilka is doing a good job holding down that 2nd spot and picking up the pace. Last lap by for Ilka, 147.8. So he is definitely not slowing down here as they're approaching the first pit stops.
Of course, Towler running 2nd in the championship is no fun. He knows that we're only a third of the way through this race, so there's no point doing some silly lunge on Ilka, because I think Towler probably realises he's not going to catch Gregor Huttu out the front, and that 2nd is the best he can really aim for today, so there's plenty of time. Perhaps he's wondering whether to wait until after the pit stops to see how they all shake out. They've got a back marker up in front of them. That is Ryan Murray, who isn't coming into the pits this time. Now Towler looks really close actually as they come over the start-finish straight. This could be the chance for Richard Towler. He's tucked right into the slipstream. Surely he's going to pull out and make a move down into turn 1. Will Happler go defensive? No, he leaves the door wide open for Richard Towler. Towler comes up the inside, Happler turns in side by side through turn 1, and they keep it there. There's a back marker in the middle. Towler dives through the middle of them both as they run down into turn 2. Towler still at the inside, Happler hangs on all the way around the outside. Great defensive driving from Ilka Happler.
Wow, awesome job to hang on to 2nd there. I think Richard was pretty nice as well. Both guys giving each other plenty of room. Ilka's got to be careful he doesn't have any more drops left in the season. As Towler now taking a look on the outside.
That was going to be tough, but he may just be able to pull it off. The next corner is a left-hander, which Happler will have the inside line for. These two have been side by side for the first 6 corners of this lap. Surely now Towler will get it. Happler's trying to go around the outside, and he does it at turn 7. Brilliant move from Ilka Happler. And who's that right behind him? Is that the back marker? No, that's Ben Cornette that's caught right up with them now.
Yeah, all this battling has let Ben sneak up in there, and he almost snuck his way right past Towler for that 3rd spot on track. Just a quick update as well. A couple of laps ago, Jack, Gregor Huttu ran his fastest lap of the race at a 146.8, a full 2nd faster than what these guys are turning out right now.
Astonishing speed from Gregor Huttu, but astonishing battling from Happler and Towler. Cornette looks to the outside, trying to get a slingshot out of the corner, but these 3 now are same distance from each other. Cornette getting very, very sideways through that left-hander there at turn 13. Now they go onto the back straight. Happler looks a little further away, and into the pits comes Richard Towler.
All right, this is going to be interesting now. Towler coming into the pits. He's probably thought he's going to have to pass Ilka in the pits, or that's might be his best opportunity. So Towler into the pits early. Probably didn't work out the way Ilka wanted there, battling with Richard. It's allowed Ben to catch back up as that battle is closed back down, and that's his main rival in the overall championship. Both of those guys battling for 3rd place overall. I don't think either one of them has any drops left, so they both have to be careful on track as well.
So Gregor Huttu came into the pits that time as well. So that means that Ilka Happler is now into the lead of this race. David Williams came in, as did Derek Wood. So quite a number of drivers coming in on that lap 15. So Gregor Huttu is no longer, and this might even be the first time this season that Gregor Huttu hasn't led a race, because usually he's built up such an advantage by the pit stops that he manages to hang on. But Ilka Happler is now out in the lead of this race, and what sort of advantage can he build up over Richard Towler? Because of course they were absolutely nose to tail when Towler dived into the pits on the last lap. Surely Ilka won't be able to go much further than this, because he was saying that fuel will last 15 or 16 laps, I believe, as he comes into Canada corner. And Ben Cornette must be coming in as well, because it's going to be so interesting. If Happler and Cornette come in now, it's going to be an absolute dash on the way out of the pit lane to see who can come out. In what position? Happler runs a little bit wide. Happler and Cornette both come. No, Cornette dummied. Cornette dummied. I thought he was going in. Ben Cornette takes the lead. Now, where will Happler come out?
That's interesting. I don't know what Ben would really have to gain from that, other than to just kind of rack up another laps led in the overall championship. And as you're speaking of that, I was looking at the stats. Gregor Huttu has led 94% of the laps in the championship, so other people have led. Ben Cornette was one of them, but that's usually in situations just like this.
So So, Richard Towler out of the final corner. The back marker in front of him dives into the pits. Where is our main championship rival, Ilka Happela? He leaves the pit box now, but where is Richard Towler going to be? He's coming down the start-finish straight. Happela's in front. Happela's in front by a comfortable margin, actually. So, staying out that extra lap looks like it's really helped him. Will it help Ben Cornette to leapfrog both of them?
Yeah, that's the big question right now. We're going to take a look at Ben on track and watch him come into the pits. See what kind of lap he can churn out. His last lap by was a 1:48.1, so pretty quick lap for Ben. Ben's fastest lap of the race was a 1:47.7, about halfway through this stint, so he's trying to churn out a good lap here to see if he can leapfrog. And of course the pit guys always play a part in how these guys come in and out of the pits. So see if Ben comes in this time. You would have to think, with him being Gregor's teammate, that he's not on too different of a fuel strategy than Gregor.
I don't know how much longer the fuel can last. Cornette hits this time, so let's see where he can come out. We saw Happela stayed out a lap longer than Towler, and as a result extended his advantage. Will the same be true of Cornette? So the man to watch is Ilka Happela. He's making his way down towards Canada corner now. In fact, I can't wait to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, I'm not sure here, Jack, but taking a look at Gregor, it looks like he might be behind Towler, possibly?
Not according to my...
Oh, no, that was someone else. I'm sorry. I think it's just a matter of everything cycling through.
Yeah, there was a timing glitch. He's just gone through the timing beam now to prove that he is out in the lead of this race. But where is Ben Cornette? Cornette's coming out of the pits now, and Ilka Happela is behind him. So Ben Cornette has jumped up into second position in this race. So it's a team red line 1-2 as it stands, and staying out that extra lap has really helped Ben Cornette, and that means Richard Towler, our front row man, is now going to be running in fourth.
Yeah, Ben jumped up 2 spots in that pit stop. Wonder if he took a little less fuel to have a shorter second stint here, maybe have a quicker pit stop. Man, it's going to be interesting. 2 spots. That's a great job by Ben Cornette in the pits.
Certainly is. Mean now, potentially, that he's got lighter fuel. They are closing in on Ryan Murray, who we saw put it in the tyre barriers earlier on today, so it'll be interesting to see how they get back past those back markers. Of course, it'll take Cornette a while to get his temperature up, and Ryan Murray does a good job of staying well out of the way of those lead 3, and although they are not right together, they're still pretty much together, aren't they, as they make their way down through the final sections of the track, through the kink now. Gregor Huttu is already coming out of Canada corner. So he's got a monstrous lead. It's probably going to be quite a way. And Ilka Happela now is right up behind Ben Cornette in this battle for second position. In qualifying, Happela was 2/10 quicker than Ben Cornette. They make their way out onto the back straight. It's going to be interesting to see, because we've seen Happela perhaps a little slower in a straight line than Richard Towler was, but will he be compared to Ben Cornette? They've got a back marker in front, which is Tim Holgate. No doubt he'll move out the way in the gentlemanly manner that all these other, we've seen all these other drivers do. The podium assault driver. Happela closed in down the straight, close enough to make a move yet though, and Towler a little way behind these two.
Ilka caught Ben really quick, and I don't know if it's because of possibly Ben's tires.
No. It was the back marker there. Tim Holgate has messed things up big time for Ben Cornette, and they're going to be side by side. Happela's up the inside, and Happela goes through. Cornette won't be happy to settle for that. He's going to look to the outside on the run down into turn 5. Where is Richard Towler? Of course, he is very close to this battle as well. So Tim Holgate has really punched these through up. It looked, in fairness to Tim Holgate, it looked as though he moved over to let him through, but sort of eased off just this. You know, it's one of those awkward situations in a corridor when you move one way to let one guy through and you both go the same way and you end up doing a little dance. But this has really affected Ben Cornette's race.
Yeah, that could be huge, especially if Ben went lighter on fuel to try to get past these guys. And now they've caught him, and one of them has passed him, and Towler is right up behind him. So Ilka is through. Tim probably was trying to get out of the way there. He possibly has a damaged car and ended up just being at the wrong spot at the wrong time. And Ben to the inside, taking a look. Ilka trying to shut the door.
Well, we're seeing a replay of that Tim Holgate incident. Like I say, it wasn't any intentional blocking or anything like that. It was just a simple miscommunication as he tried to get out of Ben Cornett's way. Those second, third and fourth guys back live head over the start-finish straight. And Towler isn't really able to keep up with these two at the moment, is he? So I don't know if because he's been on these tyres a little longer, so Cornette and Happela's tyres are a little fresher as they make their way down into turn 1. Cornette looked like he was very quick through there, wasn't he? If he can hook up turn 2, he may well be on the back of Happela and down to turn 5.
Ilka's been good out of this corner so far. I'm surprised that Towler hasn't put a little bit more pressure on Ben. I know that Towler has struggled with this track in the past as far as frame rates. Richard's looking to upgrade his computer, so sometimes he had been aggressive move, I think right now he's just trying to fill up Ilka's mirrors and put some pressure on him to let him know he's there, as Towler is now attacking Cornette.
Yeah, I think Happela went a little wide at turn 5, and that allows Towler to catch up a little bit as they make their way down towards turn 8. Say, Frosty, Towler is there if they make mistakes. They drive smoothly. It seems as though they pull away from Towler a little bit. Milos Milkovic is the next back marker to face. Hopefully, there won't be any of the confusion that we had with Tim Holgate.
It looks like they're going to catch him in a pretty decent spot of the track here. Hopefully, coming out of the last turn, won't be too much problems. Maybe before that, and he gets right out of the way. So no trouble there. Give a quick rundown of the order. You want to give a quick rundown of the order while you watch this battle? Looks like Huttu out in front, Happela second, Cornette third, Towler in fourth, which is the battle you're watching right now. In the fifth spot is David Williams, who is a newcomer to this series, his first time out there.
I think this is going to be close, Rosny. Cornette is right in the slipstream as they make their way down towards turn 1. Happela once again decides not to go defensive field. Cornette fancy a lunge. He's up the inside. That's going to be too close. It's contact. Cornette gets sideways. Towler dives through. Towler takes third position. And that was optimistic to say the least from Ben Cornette. He was never really alongside into turn 1 there, was he? And luckily, he didn't take Happela out. Here's the replay.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay, Cornette was trying to get outbrake him just enough to get alongside. Didn't quite get there. Happela did a good job to hold his line on the outside. Contact obviously wasn't on purpose. I'm not sure how much contact there was. Probably not much. Cornette's wing looks fine, and he loses a spot. Not the way he wanted that outcome to come out for sure for Ben Cornette.
You wonder if he's just getting a little frustrated after the back marker incidents going on. But now, shame, because he dropped quite a way off the battle for these two. And as you say, that could be a strategy ruined because he may have fueled light. So 2 incidents have really cost Ben Cornette, third place man in the championship, only 8 points ahead of Ilka Happela. This could be crucial in that respect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like there definitely was a little bit of contact there between Ilka and Ben, but like I said, Ben's front wing looked okay from what I can tell, so his car's probably fine, but he is now back where he started before the pit stops began, Jack, and he is back in that 4th spot, and Towler is back to chasing Ilka. And what I was trying to get to earlier was Towler looking to upgrade his computer. This is one of the tracks that I know he has frame rate trouble on. Maybe that's part of the reason why he was having a hard time putting pressure on these guys. Or perhaps Ilka and Ben, and just they've gotten a good grip on the update. They like the tires and the chassis update, and they've made up some ground on Richard Towler.
Indeed, but it's still Gregor Huttu who has an 18-second lead out at the front. He's dominated this series so far, as you would expect. The biggest names in sim racing. Ilka Happela then, as you say, currently second. Richard Towler, Ben Cornette, is currently in 4th position. We've got a good battle going on for 16th position here. Mark Payne and Thomas Podbrocki are right together as they make their way out of Canada. We are watching it now as they crest the hill down towards the final corner. We've seen Podrocky in quite a bit of action so far today. Will he be able to get a good tow as they head along the back, the main straight?
I think you're saying his name all wrong, Jack. I think it's actually Tomas.
I wouldn't say that's the worst bit I'm getting wrong, to be honest with you. But as they head down into turn 1, driver isn't close enough. They make their way into turn 3 now, a little bit sideways from Podrocky. We've passed the half distance mark now. Onto lap 21 we go. Continuing to watch this battle between Mark Payne and Tomas Podrocky, if you want to be pedantic. Turn 5, Payne a little sideways, but nothing too out of the ordinary for Mark. And makes his way into the left-hand section, turn 8, and then sweeping out through this long right-hander. I'm sorry, that's turn 7. Now we're heading down into turn 8. My mistake. He's quite close enough to do anything about it at the moment. Just so you know, that Happler-Towler battle has spread out a little bit. Though Ben Cornett is coming back with Richard Towler. That's impressive from Cornett.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Cornett is on the charge here. And like I said, I think he might have gone lighter on fuel on that second stop to try to leapfrog these guys in the pits. So he might be a little bit quicker on track at the moment. Yeah. And not going to happen there.
Payne and Podrocky really battling hard on your screen as they make their way out of Canada corner, up the hill through turn 13 at Bill Mitchell Bend, down into turn 14 now, and if Podrocky can get a good run out of here, no, he didn't take the right line in there, did he? He seemed to go in a little bit narrow, and as a result took the corner very shallowly, if that's a word, which it isn't, but I've just invented it. But now he's got a good slipstream coming down the main straight down into turn 1. We've seen a lot of overtaking so far here today. Mark Payne feels the need to go defensive. Podrocky looks to the outside. Will be a brave man to drive around the outside there. He might try and get the cut back into turn 3. Quite worked out for him. Good defending from Mark Payne. They are some 4 seconds behind Paul Richards in front of them, so it really is just these two battling, because Dave Hoffman is quite far behind as well. But two out on circuit having a nice little scrap over 16th position.
Yeah, good battle there. I was just going to give a quick rundown of the order here in the top 10. Jack Gregor Huttu still out in front. Ilka Happala in the 2nd spot. Richard Towler running in 3rd. Ben Cornett in 4th. David Williams, newcomer to the series, in the 5th spot. Good run for David. Darren Marsh in 6th. Sean Purdy a little bit further back than we normally see him in the 7th spot. Marcus Sari, another newcomer to the series, in the 8th spot, so a top 10 for 2 newcomers, their first 2 pros in the Drivers' World Championship. In the top 10, Derek Wood still hanging on, car probably not damaged too bad, in the 9th spot. And all you John Prather fans out there, he is currently running in the 10th spot.
Absolutely, we've got some action going on with back markers there. I'm not sure if we're still watching this Podrocky battle, but it's Ryan Murray and Alex Simonek just diving out of the way. They make their way into Canada corner, but they are a little further behind. We think Ben Cornett has lost a little ground over Richard Towler, and indeed he has. We'll try and see how recently he dropped back a little bit, and that back marker action I saw out of the corner of my eye was actually the position. Alex Simonek passing Ryan Murray. Simonek is a man who was involved, I can't remember if he was involved in the first lap or the formation lap, but he was involved in something. He's only running 18th in the championship. He is in the iReviews.net car, the man from Prague in the Czech Republic, who's been sim racing since 2006. He's an iRacing member since June 2008. So now what? 2 years and a couple of months of iRacing for Alex Simonek, and he'll be loving it, as most people are once they get into iRacing.
Yeah, and I'll get to that in just a second. I wanted to mention Ilka and Richard, their last lap by. They both ran their fastest laps of the race at a 1:47.5. Ilka matching that lap again this time by with a 1:47.5, and Towler at 1:47.4. So they're actually closing in on the laps times that Gregor is doing in the low 1:47s now, and pulling away from Ben a little bit in that 4th spot. Ben's still running low 148s. But as you were mentioning there with iRacing, I just wanted to kind of touch on that really quick. Jack, if you're watching this for the first time and wondering what the heck this is internet-based racing. People from all over the world are battling it out from their homes. Anybody can do this. You just go to iRacing.com. It's very inexpensive. All you need is a wheel and pedal set from your local store and a decent computer, and you can be out here racing with the best in the world, just like you're watching on your screen right now.
And we're about to be watching on your screen some great racing between Sean Purdy and Darren Marsh. Oh, he's locked up, and Marsh very, very forgiving into that corner, wasn't he? Left the door open a lot. And, well, that's interesting from Marsh. Perhaps he locked up, or perhaps he just got out of Sean Purdy's way, because, to be honest, Sean Purdy in the Orion car looked a little bit out of control into that braking zone.
Yeah, he could have either scared Darren, or maybe he was catching Darren and just going quicker, and Darren knew it's better not to hold him up and just let him go. And Darren also could be on a completely different fuel strategy here. He could be heavy right now and just trying to hang on to Sean. If he can hang on to him here and be faster at the last quarter of the race, then that could work into Darren's favor. But again, it could just be as simple as he heard Sean coming and knew better than to try to block.
Absolutely, they're making their way around Canada Corner. Ryan Murray is in the pits once more, so a torrid day for the man who is 17th in the championship, actually, Ryan Murray. So he's running fairly strongly in the podium assault car. Man from Newark in Delaware. Darren Marsh and Sean Purdy are cresting the hill now along the start-finish straight. It'll be interesting to see how these things work out, because this is the battle for 6th position, so it's fairly relevant. Sean Purdy is running 6th in the championship as well, whereas Darren Marsh is running 5th in the championship, and these two are only separated by 5 points. So actually, championship-wise, this is a crucial battle for 5th position between the man from Sydney and the man from Montreal.
Yeah, Sean and Darren with the drops running 5th and 6th respectively, and Sean is not all that far outside of 3rd place between Happela and Cornette, so he needs to try to hang on to those guys as well. But Ilka and Ben right now are only separated by, I think, a couple of points, maybe 7 points total between the two, so that's a huge battle for that 3rd overall in the championship. And like I said, both of those guys, I think neither one of them have a drop left, so it's important for those guys to have clean races the rest of the way out.
And of course, Dion Burgers is right in that battle for the championship, but he's currently running down in 12th position after incidents at the start of this race. So that's bad news for Dion, really, as the rest of them battle for the top 3 and 4. Dion Burgers is down in 12th place, which isn't going to do his championship hopes any help at all, but he's still running out there. We've had 9 cars retired. Dion Burgers is still out there, and one man who's definitely still out there with a 20-second lead over the rest of the field is Gregor Huttu.
As well, we're kind of in a lull in the action. We'll kind of give PSR TV a plug here. It's Twitter-PSR TV, I believe. So make sure you join that and follow PSR TV on Twitter. You get all the latest updates on when everything is posted, which is pretty darn quick right after the race. If you missed the race, you can always catch it on demand at psrtv.com. And Marsh is definitely hanging on to Purdy. Pretty good battle there.
Towler is also hanging on to Wilka Happler as they make their way through the bottom few corners, but of course they have been together, they've been inseparable all race really, and it's been brilliant to watch these two dicing, and hopefully we'll have some more by the end. Now let's talk about pit stops, Frosty. We're on lap 26 now, and I'd imagine we're perhaps approaching the window for the next set of pit stops. If someone has fueled light, this is going to be the sort of time they're going to be making their way into the pits, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you would expect to see Gregor one of the first in, possibly Ben. He has actually, Ben Cornette has dropped back quite a ways now from the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Still running low 148s, Ben Cornette is, but like I said earlier, Happela and Towler have picked up the pace, running mid 147s now as they're crossing the line again right here. 147.7 that time by for Happela and a 147.5 for Towler. So these guys have picked up the pace from what they were running earlier on in the race, and now starting to put some distance between themselves and Ben Cornette. And right now this is exactly what Ilka needs. He needs to finish high, but also have cars in between him and Cornette. So, you know, Ilka is really hoping that the race would just end now, I'm sure.
Absolutely, but it is not ending now. We've got another 12 or 13 laps to go as they make their way down through the bottom section of corners now. Turn 5 now through turn 6, then this fast right hand kink at turn 7, down into another slow speed corner at turn 8. It's interesting because there are a lot of tight corners here, but long straights as well, so it's really interesting to decide what setup you want. I mean, it is a sort of a minimum downforce track really, and the drafting is really important. If you can hang around close enough to the car in front in the corners, be able to stay together down the straight as well.
Oh, Gregor into the pits now, Jack. So let's see if Cornette follows. If he was light on fuel indeed, or if he's going to try to go longer like he did the last time.
Yep, Huttu then in the pits, and Ben Cornette. Let's see where he is. Happela goes through. Towler goes through. Cornette, you were spot on, Frosty St. Clair. Ben Cornette has come into the pits. His red line teammate Gregor Huttu is just about to exit the pit. No, he's just coming to stop in his pit box. I apologise. So the red line guys running very similar strategies indeed. They are both in the pit lane now. Gregor Huttu shouldn't really have much to worry about, but Cornette, I think, well, yeah, he must have light fueled to gain the track position, but then Dake and an incident with Tim Holgate, the back marker, really cost him, and down in 4th position if things stay out how they are.
Yeah, I think that's why we were seeing him be so aggressive there, to try to get back past Ilka once Ilka got past him in the, we'll call it the Tim Holgate issue. Poor Tim. Sorry, Tim. But right now, you know, this is when the engineers are coming on the PA systems and telling Towler and Ilka to push. This is when you've got to push, because they've got to turn out fast laps right now, as Ben is, I think, now exiting the pits. Last lap by for Ilka, 147.5, and Towler 147.6. So these guys are going pretty quick and picking up the pace, and it's going to be interesting to see if Ilka can, if he's going to come into the pits, or if he's going to lead his first lap of this championship of this season.
Certainly will be interesting to see, won't it? They make their way around Canada now, and also if Towler can stay up a lap or two longer than Ilka Happela can, perhaps we will see the same move that we saw in the first round of pit stops, namely Towler getting the jump. This is where we're going to find out. Happela pits and Towler pits as well. That'll sink Towler's heart. And oh, it's really close in under pit lane. Blum! He was mighty quick into the entry there, wasn't he? And that's going to gain him quite a few seconds.
Yeah, Richard's probably a very savvy pit entrance guy because he races so much ovals, and he probably knows exactly how to do it. Hopefully he didn't get a speeding ticket there. He's not going to get a black flag. My guess is that he's just really good at entering the pits and getting the most out of it. Not the optimum situation here for Ilka, as he's going to be kind of stuck behind Towler there sitting in the pit lane.
Absolutely. Oh, did Happela has got ahead of... No, he hasn't got ahead. He stayed ahead, sorry, of Towler. Ben Cornette is coming to the line now. And he isn't anywhere near, really, is he, these two? So that hasn't worked out for Ben Cornette at all. 4th is now going to be the best that he can hope for. He makes his way down through turn 3 here at Road America in this iRacing Drivers' World Championship. We're on to lap 29.
Yeah, been too far back to probably catch these guys without any mistakes, so that's probably what he's hoping for at this point, is some mistakes or some problems with back markers for specifically Ilkka Happila. He probably doesn't care too much about Towler other than the fact that Towler is in between him and Ilkka, and that's just going to spread that point differential out more. But as far as racing Towler, he's not really racing him for the championship. Towler's got too much of a points gap, so he's definitely hoping probably at this point for some trouble for Ilkka, either by way of a mistake or back marker trouble. But yeah, good job by Ilkka in the pits there. Looks like he was quicker than Towler, despite Towler entering the pits much faster than Ilkka. And Ilkka actually got out with about the same gap, I think, before they entered the pit lane.
Yeah, it looks as though Towler had really made an excellent decision, or had excellent ability on the pit lane entrance, but came across the line. Well, we'll wait until they come across the line this time, and we'll find out exactly how close they are. So let's have a look at the current top 10. It is Gregor Huttu out in the lead of this race. He's got a 1.2 second lead over Sean Purdy, but Sean Purdy is yet to pit. Marcus Sari, who we haven't spoken about much, but he's running there in third place at the moment, but of course he's still yet to pit in third place. David Williams is in the pits now from fourth position. The Ilkka Happila and Richard Towler are fifth and sixth, with Ben Cornett in seventh, and Darren Marsh still ahead of Derek Wood in ninth and 10th. Rea Fowler is in there in eighth. It's all going a little all over the place at the moment as these pit stops shake out, though.
Yeah, everybody pitting, so the timing and scoring is a little bit jumpy at the moment, to say the least. Oh, Towler way wide and losing some time on Happila there in turn 5. Towler had to kind of get off the gas as he kind of ran off into the gravel a bit. And looks like we're taking a look at Darren Marsh on screen, I believe. It's going to be interesting, Dak, to see what lap times Happila and Towler are running when they come through. See if they're still able to run those mid 47s or if they're going to slow down a bit.
Certainly will, Frosty. Will indeed. We're looking, this man here is Klaus Ellenbrand. His first race in the iRacing Drivers World Championship. He's making his way around through turn 3 in his machine, in his Indy car, making his way down this one of the many long straights here at Road America. Klaus running in 17th position in car number 17, so doing fairly good. He's the second to last driver on this lead lap. He's 1 minute and 29 seconds behind Ellenbrand. No, sorry, he is Ellenbrand, behind Jan Vergers.
Looks like we're taking a replay. Yeah, look at a replay between David Williams and Rea Alfala. David Williams, his first time in the series as a pro, goes a little bit wide. He was running in P4 at the time, but I think him and Alfala both have to pit still, so they will drop back down the order a bit as we took a look there, and now Ray in the pits. So
Purdy and Williams are side by side for position 3. They've been side by side since turn 1. Apparently, Sean Purdy has the inside on David Williams, though, as they make their way into turn 5. Williams is going to hang on around the outside. That's never going to work, is it, David? Sorry to giggle at you there, but that was optimistic to say the least. Now they make their way through this tight, twisty section, and it'll be interesting to see if Williams can keep up with Sean Purdy. And oh, he's put 2 wheels on the grass. He's put 4 wheels on the grass there, and that's going to drop him back a little further.
yeah, I thought, I was taking a look there, I thought initially that David hadn't pitted yet, and I was wondering what he was doing, trying to, because Sean had just exited the pits there, and so I was kind of curious what he was doing, but I think he might have actually pitted a lap ago, so that is looks like a legit battle on track there for these guys, as the timing and scoring is still updating as we roll around the track.
Certainly is, but there's no timing screen to tell us that Gregor Huttu is out in the front. Interestingly, Happila and Richard Towler are now separated by about, just trying to figure this out with my maths, about 1.8 seconds. So Happila has really put the hammer down now, hasn't he, and decided to pull away from Towler. So it looks as though this could be second position on the cards for Ilkka Happler if he can just keep it on the island for the remaining 8 or 9 laps of this race. 8 now, isn't it, to go on lap 32 out of 40. Ben Cornett is going to be disappointed with 4th if he creeps out in 4th position. 9 to go, I apologise. My maths is never very good. They make their way down into these bottom corners here at Road America.
Ilkka probably seeing a bit red in this race as he got punted at the start of the last race at Infineon. Some bad luck there for him, and like I said, he doesn't have any more drops left in the championship, so he's got to make the rest of the races count, and any little mistake could cost him a shot at 3rd in the championship, with a pretty substantial cash payout for 3rd. So that's a huge battle between him and Ben Cornett right now at the moment. Ben had a great race at Infineon, and we watched Ilkka charge all the way up from the back to finish, I think, 6th or 7th in that last race at Infineon. So a great job by Ilkka, and looking for his best finish of the season right now in 2nd.
So we'll have a little look further down the order. John Prather is still running in 10th position. We haven't spoken much about him or Rea Fowler for a while, but they're still there, 10th and 11th. Paul Richards currently in 12th position. So Dion Verger's now 13th place. So presumably some people must have to make a pit stop because he was 12th a few laps ago. Klaus Ellenbrand, who we were speaking about earlier, is currently in 14th. And Gerd Hofferer, sorry. Daniel Almeida currently in 16th. Milos Milkovic in 22nd position. He's fairly close to, I believe that's Tim Holgate in front. They appear to have spread out a little bit now. But Tim Holgate, who was involved in Holgate Gate, I guess you could call it, he is currently still running in 21st.
Just a quick note, Ilkka Happler's fastest lap of the race last lap by was a 147.40. And Towler 147.4 as well, but just a tick slower than Ilkka, so Ilkka is definitely turning up the pressure here.
Yep, he's not going to let it go that easily, is he? As they continue to make their way around this Road America circuit. Gregor Huttu coming up behind Paul Richards, who, like I said, is currently running in the top 12, or in 12th position, I should say. Certainly Richards will get out of the way here. Got a good battle going on here. David Williams and Sean Purdy still fairly close together as they make their way around the long carousel corner at turns 9 and 10. I believe that was a bit of a guess. Yes, they are now heading towards the kink. But now we are with Gregor Huttu as he makes his way around turn 1 here at Road America. On board with him for this full lap, making his way down to turn 3 as it is. Turn 2 is that little kink in the middle, and then out onto one of these back straights as we approach Milos Milkovic. You can see Huttu in his mirrors, can't you? You can see that he's moving over to the left hand side. Huttu sticks to the right and breezes past him eventually, heading down into this turn 5 corner. Huttu not quite hooking up the apex that time, but you can use plenty of that curve on the outside as we crest the hill into this blind left-hander at turn 6. A really tricky corner that Huttu manages to hook up nicely, then into this flat out, well not flat out, but a slight lift for turn 7, down towards another tight corner here at turn 8, which he takes nicely. That's a bit more like it, isn't it? Plenty of curve on the inside, and then through 9 and 10, which is carousel, long, never-ending right-hander, putting all the strain on that front left tyre, and then heading out down the straight towards another fast corner on this right-hand kick here, close blind as well. Down into one of the biggest stopping zones on the circuit. Somewhere we've seen quite a bit of overtaking down here on the Canada corner, the famous corners on this Road America circuit. Tuck it in nicely. Now he's got another back marker in front. This time it's Tim Holgate. As we've seen much of Tim Holgate, and we're getting an onboard view of the rear of Holgate's car as Huttu runs wide over those curves. Holgate quite getting out of the way as they come out of this final corner. There goes Tim Holgate. Huttu comes across the line to start lap 35.
Probably never a great feeling with Gregor coming up behind you. You want to try to get out of the way the best you can without holding him up. And he definitely comes up behind a lot of guys in this series as he has just been unstoppable.
Sean Purdy and David Williams were battling quite close. Apparently, I'm hearing that Williams got a little bit sideways earlier in this lap, and that has allowed Purdy to bring out a bit of an advantage. Shame, but no doubt Dave Williams will be looking to close in a little, but he's not going to be close enough as they head over the start-finish straight this time.
Yeah, I believe there's 4 pro drivers in this race, Jack, that have not competed in the Drivers' World Championship as of yet. So starting to see some pro drivers creep up into the qualifying order as those slots become open. If enough Drivers' World Championships drivers do not qualify or show up for the race, the pro drivers get slotted in based on their qualifying time. So 4 guys making the race out here today, and good job by them. Actually, we got 2 running in the top 10, David Williams and Marcus Sari. And Klaus is running in the 13th spot. I believe Tomas is running in 16th. So all doing a pretty good job out there, very respectable.
Definitely, it makes good sense. What I'm trying to say is it makes the qualification system look respectable, because you're not getting drivers qualifying and then being stuck at the back of the grid. You know, they're worthy additions to this championship. No one yet has quite managed to match the pace of Gregor Huttu out there. Happler and Towler are still fairly spread out. David Williams is one of the closest on the circuit, as we have 5 laps to go here then at Road America. Gregor Huttu is still out in the lead. Happler and Towler have been battling all day long, but it looks as though Happler has the legs at the moment.
Oka's doing a great job. He needed this race after having a rough one the last time by. It's still going to be close. I'm not quite sure how many points he'll actually gain on Ben, especially with the drops and how all that works. If he'll actually be able to jump up into that 3rd spot in the championship, we'll have to check that. But right now, doing an amazing job of hanging on to 2nd ahead of Richard Towler, who we've seen been solidly a 2nd place guy behind Gregor all season, which is, you know, amazing in itself. And now Ilka definitely showing some strength here, maybe really liking the new car update, as last lap by for Ilka, 147.5, still running right there in those mid 147s. He's probably trying to keep a good 2nd gap back to Richard so that Richard doesn't get into a slipstream.
There has to be a time at some point this season, Frosty. I think I've said this every race now, but Towler is so close to Huttu in qualification, you know, a 1/10 of a second often. But yet in the race, he's often finishing the race. He's, you know, 20 seconds or so behind. I mean, you know, what do we think that's down to? Is that just Huttu being unstoppable in race distance? Is that just Towler focusing too much on his qualifying pace and not practicing the long runs? I mean, surely it's not that. These guys in the iRacing Drivers' World Championship, they're you know, they take this seriously. You know, they're going to do hours of practice in race pace and qualifying trim, surely.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it, Jack. It's I mean, if anybody could do it, obviously I think they would be closer to Gregor at the moment. But Gregor has not only amazing speed. I think a lot of the times that his race pace, he's never on his own limit, and he's just able to. He's got great racecraft, and is able to just, you know, lead the field around every single time. Right now, looking to go 13 for 13.
Well, we've just been asked by Tom on the PSRTV chat how much the cash prize is for winning this series, and someone else has already answered it for us on the chat there. But for those of you who don't have access to that, it is $10,000 US for winning this iRacing Drivers' World Championship. And you have to say, Gregor Huttu is looking like he might be adding to his balance a little bit. Richard Towler is closing a little on Gregor Huttu, but not quite close enough. Oh, someone spun off there. Who was that? That was Tim Holgate. So he's having an action-packed race in his podium assault car. Has he been passed by Dave Hoffman there, or just lapped? No, just lapped. So Holgate having a difficult day out there.
Yeah, not one of Tim's better days. Right now, Towler is closing in on Ilka, and they have got heavy traffic in front of them.
Haven't they? Sweeping up through Bill Mitchell Bend. They're coming up behind Thomas Bodbrocki, who we've seen a lot of action from today as well. He's going to be sensible and stay out of the way. We're on board with Richard Towler as they crest this hill. Ilka Happel is going to try and get a slipstream, and look at this, Towler will stay right up behind Bodbrocki for as long as he can and then pull out. Doesn't really help him actually much through his back markers catching them on the straight. He could have done with catching them in the corners, could Richard Towler. But he is a little close now to Ilka Happel, the gap down to just half a second. So are we in for a grandstand finish with 4 to go here in this round, 12th round, 13th round of the iRacing Drivers' World Championship?
Well, Towler has definitely picked up the pace, Jack. On lap 36, he did a 1:47.3, which was his fastest lap of the race, until the very next lap, which was the very last lap, 1:47.2, which is right down there, right about what Gregor is running every single lap. Actually, I think Gregor has probably put it into cruise control mode a little bit. Gregor running in between 1:47.2s and 1:47.5s. But earlier in the race, we saw 1:46.8 from Gregor Huttu. So, but Towler is actually picking up the pace and putting some pressure on Ilka here for that second spot. He's not going to just let him have it, that's for sure.
Absolutely, but they are making their way through. It seems as though Richard Towler is closing in on him more around the sort of first half of this circuit, and then drifts away a little bit through this kind of fast section. So he's going to have to try and force Happel into a mistake. It's going to be difficult when you're half a second back. So he's going to try and maximise this as they make their way around towards the final sections of this lap. And, well, we've seen Happel make a couple of mistakes so far today, haven't we? He made that mistake early on, which allowed Towler to get past. He's been wide at a couple of corners. That's not to say Towler has made mistakes, but certainly Happel hasn't had the cleanest race of his career, as Towler and Happel head down the start-finish straight with only 3 laps to go now.
And we're taking a look on screen, the battle for the 10th spot. John Prather trying to hold off his buddy Ray Alfala, and Prather trying to score his first top 10 of the season. And Ray is right behind him. Ray is, I guess we talked about earlier, he's never boring out there on the track. He's an amazing driver. And he is right on the back door of Prather right now with only a couple laps left to go.
Indeed, they're making their way down towards Canada. I was wrong a moment ago. I said there were 3 laps to go. There's actually only 2 laps to go. Gregor Huttu is on his penultimate lap, but these two are battling hard as they make their way around the fast section. Gregor Huttu, just to let you know, is heading towards Canada for the penultimate time. These guys, Fowler is quite close to John Prather. He might pick up a bit of a toe here as they head along the start-finish straight, perhaps. Going to tuck in right behind. He's not going to close in a little bit. He is going to close in a little bit. Quite close enough, but in fact he's really quicker through that turn 1, isn't he? And now Ray Fowler is going to be really close. It's going to be interesting. Gregor Huttu is heading on to his final lap, but we're sticking with Ray Fowler and John Prather battling over the final top 10 spot. Not going to be quite close enough, is he? Makes his way down into tight left-hander at turn 5.
Just a quick update on the battle for second. Towler is still hanging on to Ilka. They both did their fastest laps of the race, Ilka did his fastest lap of the race. Now he just did a faster lap, 1:47.2 for Ilka Happel. Towler 1:47.315. So these guys staying about where they are now, but Ilka has picked up the pace on the last lap now, trying to hang on to that second spot.
But Gregor Huttu it is out in the lead of this race, as he has been since the start. He lost the lead a couple of times in the pit stops, but he hasn't lost the overall lead of this race. He's sweeping out through turn 7, down towards turn 8, and really this has been yet another dominating performance from the Finn. Makes his way around the carousel here at turns 9 and 10, and you just wonder, like, as I said earlier, every race you think, oh, next time Towler will be a little bit closer, next time, you know, Ilka Happel will put him under some real pressure, but he's just unstoppable at the moment, isn't he, Frosty?
Well, there was definitely some talks about with the tire update that people would be closer. There was a lot of talks that people were hiding their race pace before this race, and a lot of talks that Gregor maybe wasn't quite as sharp as he had been in the past. But once again, Gregor proving everybody wrong, about to go 13 for 13. And just a quick update, only a couple turns left, and Towler is close, but I don't think there's any passing opportunity, so it looks like Ilka might be able to hang on to that second spot.
But Gregor Huttu it is who takes the win in the 12th round, 13th round. I've done it again to win the 13th round of the iRacing Drivers' World Championship. A brilliant victory for him. Second and third are about to come across the line. Ilka Happala is just going to hang on ahead of Richard Towler. It's going to be a marginal gap as they cross the line. Towler, well, if this race was a lap longer, Towler would be passed. But 0.2 of a second. And, oh, Reafala's off. Reafala's off as he tried to challenge for that final 10th position. Try and get a replay of that. He and John Prather have collided. And, yeah, they've just made a little touch at coming over the crest of the hill, and that's a real shame for him. Tim Holgate, I believe, has hit another wall today, which is a shame for him. But Ben Cornett then come home in 4th position. Sean Purdy comes across the line to take 5th position. 6th goes to David Williams. 7th place was Darren Marsh. 8th, Marcus Sari. 9th, Derek Wood coming across the line now. We've seen him in some great battles today. And John Prather looks like he's going to come across. Tim Holgate is smoking as he comes across the line to take 22nd position. So, an absolutely great race there. And that really has been one of the most exciting races of the season so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we should throw in more updates more often so we can kind of mix things up and kind of throw a kink in everybody's plan. But great race for Ilka after a tough race last time to come second. And Gregor, amazing. 13 for 13. Just unbelievable. The guy's unstoppable. I think he only has to win 2 more, Jack, and it's all over. And the fat lady will have sung. Gregor will win the championship and the 10 grand that goes with it.
Absolutely, it certainly looks like that is going to be the case, doesn't it? As they, the rest of the cars have made their way across the line now. As I said, a thrilling race, and it looks as though the updates that were made have really helped the racing a little bit, haven't they? The fact that the aero damage now works means that drivers are less likely to go bombarding into corners, and it just adds to the realism. The aerodynamic changes have made the drafting a little better, haven't they? We saw some real drafting going on today, which we haven't really seen throughout this season, but certainly these updates from iRacing really have improved the raceability of these cars. If they haven't affected sort of how they drive here and there, they've really improved how they race each other.
Yeah, you know, iRacing does a great job of implementing the updates. Not everybody's happy with them right off the bat all the time, but iRacing is doing an amazing job of making this sim just as close to real life as possible. There was some other updates besides the tire model. We got some transmission model updates. These guys weren't able to downshift as quickly as they had been in the past, and that might have thrown some of these guys off as well. But just amazing job again by Gregor. Gregor taking the win, Happala second, and Towler in the third. And we'll have to see next time around how that shakes up the championship points, Jack.
Absolutely, that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. So, 13 races this season, 13 pole positions, 13 wins for Gregor Huttu. The average lap time was a 1:49.5, and the fastest lap time was a 1:46. So, as I say, it will be interesting to see these guys next time out at Silverstone, which is going to be very interesting, actually, I think, to see these Indy cars around there, because that's another quick circuit with lots of opportunities for mistakes. Not so many opportunities for overtaking, perhaps, but I think it's certainly going to be a fascinating race. And whilst Huttu is, unquestionably dominating the race, today, Frosty, we saw a fantastic battle between Happala, Towler and Cornett.
Yeah, and that might be what we're going to be watching for the rest of the season, and those guys battling it out. Richard's got a pretty good hold on the second spot. I think Richard was trying to get second because at least put a little bit of pressure on Gregor, because I think he had to come in second for the next two races. Basically, Richard had to come at least second in every race and have Gregor have some problems within the next couple of races to have a shot. And Gregor just coming that much closer to sealing the deal there with Tyler in the third spot. But it's going to be interesting to watch Hapla and Cornette now as Purdy slips a little bit further back, finishing in still a good finishing spot for Sean, but finishing back in fifth in the championship. So right now it's going to tighten up between Hapla and Cornette for that overall third spot, which I think pays $3,000. So that's going to be a huge battle there for that third spot.
Absolutely, it's going to unfold again in 2 weeks' time on the August the 21st, Saturday, August the 21st, for the iRacing Drivers' World Championship Round 14 from Silverstone in Northamptonshire in England. I'll be here for that one. Not sure if Frosty, will you be here?
Should be.
Excellent. So that's when the next race is. 2 weeks' time, August the 21st. And this is the iRacing Drivers' World Championship. iRacing, you can find out all about iRacing at www.iRacing.com if you want to drive in these incredibly accurate, incredibly well modelled, incredibly well physicked, if that's a word, cars. You start at the bottom, you don't have to jump straight into these top cars. You start at the bottom with the Skip Barber series and all those sorts of things, the legends around any circuit that is available. It's that easy to get involved, so head over to iRacing.com if you're not there already. Thank you ever so much for everyone for watching the broadcast and posting your feedback on the chat. It's really appreciated. Thanks to Ian Bushing and Chuck Johnson and PJ Lucy, who've been with us today, and Zach Stanko, of course. And Frosty, any final words from you?
No, Gregor's just leaving me speechless after every one of these races. 13 for 13, unbelievable. I know, like I said, I mentioned before, I talked to him a little bit before the season started, and he, thought he might win 8 to 12 races or so if he was lucky, and he's, and that's the entire season. He's already won 13 of the first 13 and just looks unstoppable. We're in for a good battle for that overall third spot for the rest of the season between Ilka and Ben, and look forward to the next race.
The next race then, 2 weeks' time at Silverstone. Thank you to Frosty Sinclair for joining me in the commentary box here today. I've been Jack Nichols, and we finish with a finish 1-2. Thank you very much. Good night.